All right, boys, just to share with you a short idea. While you're taking off your tefillin and getting ready, so today's Asara B'Teves. Anyone know what's significant about Asara B'Teves? Besides the fact that it's a fast day, why are we fasting today? Good. So who's they and which walls did they surround? The Romans. Good. Close. The Babylonians. Good, right? There's only a couple of nations to choose from. Excellent. Right? So the truth is, interestingly enough, there's a couple of reasons associated with Asara B'Teves. One, Chavra, anyone here ever learned the Maseches Megillah? Some of you guys learned Megillah, no? Wasn't there a Chavra last year learned Megillah? You're learning it right now. Incredible. So I don't think you got up to it yet, the story of King Ptolemy. No. So the Gemara tells a story that King Ptolemy was one of the Greek kings, went ahead and commissioned, he gathered a group of 70 Talmidei Chachamim, and he told them to go ahead, Kisvuli Toras Moshe's Rabchem. Translate for me the Torah of Moshe Rabbeinu. The Gemara tells the story. And the miracle happened. And now, what do you think? What was Ptolemy's intent? I don't know. What was Ptolemy's intent? I'm sorry? That they wouldn't translate. His goal was to find inconsistencies. His goal was also to find things that would be offensive to Greek culture, to Roman culture. But the Gemara tells the story that an incredible miracle happened, and all 72 of the elders made the same exact changes in the translation. So one idea is that Asara B'Teves ultimately, again, is the day in which the Torah was translated into Greek. Again, why that exactly is a tzara, why is that a reason for fasting, we'll save that for a different time. But as John just mentioned, the classic reason for Asara B'Teves is on the 10th of Teves is when Nebuchadnezzar was the king of Bavel, laid siege to Yerushalayim Ir HaKodesh. It was the beginning of the siege. Now, the truth is, if you put Shivasar B'Tammuz in the timeline, what historically comes after? What historically comes after Asara B'Teves? So Asara B'Teves is the siege. What happens after Asara B'Teves? Which fast day? Give you a hand. I just said it. Right. Good. Excellent. Right. Let me reframe the question. In the order of the calendar, excellent. Tanis Esther is the next fast day. Excellent. Let me reframe that a little bit. From a historical perspective, right, if the siege was laid on Asara B'Teves, what's the next major thing that happened to Yerushalayim? Shivasar B'Tammuz. What happened to Shivasar B'Tammuz? Walls were breached. What comes after Shivasar B'Tammuz? Tisha B'Av, which is what? Destruction of the Beis HaMikdash. Okay, so now we've got Asara B'Teves is the beginning of the siege. Shivasar B'Tammuz is the breaching of the walls. Tisha B'Av, the 9th of Av, the actual destruction of the Beis HaMikdash. Just if I have to ask you, what's the question you have on today's fast day? What's the question? So I'm going to reframe that. So Uzi said a question. I'm just going to use a little different words. So Uzi said, who cares they surrounded the walls? I'll say a little bit differently. In other words, I care they surrounded the walls, but why are we fasting for that? If I'm already fasting for the breach of the walls, and I'm already fasting for the destruction of the Beis HaMikdash, why do I need to fast for the siege? Why do I need to fast for the siege? What do you think? Why fast for 10? In other words, we're already fasting. The breaching of those, yes.
When they're surrounded, they kind of cut off the access to products. So they also have to fast.
Oh, so that, by the way, you're on a roll this morning. That's an excellent answer. So the truth is, the siege itself cuts them off. Now, by the way, so you're saying cuts them off from products. What else did it cut the people of Yerushalayim off from? What did it cut them off from? Food, water. Okay, what else? Hashem. Why Hashem?
Because they feel like they're getting attacked. They're kind of straying away from Hashem now.
Okay,
like,
wow.
How is Hashem letting us get attacked?
Powerful answer. In other words, here you're in Yerushalayim Ir HaKodesh, the holiest city, the holiest place in the world. And how does Hashem let that happen? Wow, incredible. Excellent, even think about that. What else are you getting cut off from? Are there other cities in Eretz Yisrael besides Yerushalayim? Yeah, right? So who are you cut off from? You're cut off from the rest of Am Yisrael. Chavra, there's nothing worse than being cut off from Am Yisrael. Part of the beauty of being a Jew is that you're part of something bigger than yourself. Part of the beauty of being a Jew is that you're part of a nation. I don't exist as an individual. I'm part of a collective. I'm part of a whole. And that's a schus. That's a merit. That is something so beautiful. When you're cut off from your people, there's something so powerfully hurtful, powerfully painful about that. So we fast. Good. What else? What's the other? In other words, why else could you understand that we're fasting today? If we're already fasting, Shivasar B'Tammuz is the breach, already fasting Tisha B'Av, the destruction of the Beis HaMikdash, why fast today?
Beginning of everything.
Oh, say that again?
Beginning of everything.
Beginning of everything. So, Chavra, let me ask you this. There is a fascinating discussion in the Gemara. Here we go. I'm going to frame this for you. You're starting off a particular life initiative. Whatever it is, you imagine in your own mind what it is that you're starting off. Something personally you want to work on, some growth area, whatever it is. It could be in academics, athletics, spirituality, whatever it is. You start off, right? You start. What's the most important part of that process? How you start or how you end? Which one is most important? Start. Why?
Because the start was like, I don't explain. I know the start, but I don't know what. Because the start really proves that you really wanted to do it bad enough.
Oh, by the way, that's excellent. That's excellent. In other words, if you actually got started, that proves, like a lot of times, right? We know a lot of times, like we talk, right? We talk about I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to do this, but often we just don't deliver. When you start something, you're delivering. So maybe the most powerful part of any life initiative is getting started. Excellent. Yes.
But I think it's more important how you finish.
Why?
Because a lot of people can start something quick.
Oh, incredible, right? It's Chevra. Raise your hand if you've ever started something in life and have not finished it. Raise your hand if you've started multiple things in life and have never finished it. So Avi's saying good. So by the way, you understand what's happening over here? We have a machlokes between two gidolim, between Avi and Effie. Right? So Effie's saying everything goes after how you start. Avi's saying everything goes after how you end. Who's right? Who's right? So okay, good. So listen to this. This is a machlokes in the Gemara. The Gemara says, do we say hakol olech achar hasof or hakol holech achar haschala? And by the way, the Gemara talks about this in halacha. The Gemara talks about this in hashkafa. The success of any life initiative, is it dependent on how you begin, or is it dependent on how you end? And the Gemara essentially says they're both correct. They're both correct. How you begin is important. How you end. Yes, Susie? I'm sorry. I don't remember who they are in the Gemara. All right, that's your homework. Okay, I'm gonna look it up. I don't remember who says what. It would be interesting to see why each one said their respective opinions. I don't know. Great question. Yeah. So now listen to this. So this is a machlokes in the Gemara. Hakol holech achar hasof. In life, does it matter how you end, or does it matter how you begin? So the Gemara doesn't come to a conclusion. Why doesn't the Gemara come to a conclusion? Why? They're both correct. They're both correct. At the end of the day, I'll show you this, something interesting. Sometimes, you start something like half-hearted, you're not really into it. Can you salvage something that you started half-hearted? Can you salvage it?
Yeah.
Yeah, how?
You go full-hearted.
Okay, you can start it again, that's one possibility. What else can you do?
You put more effort.
Put more effort in. In other words, Chavra, this happens all the time in life. I start something, all right, whatever, I really did not give it attention, I really did not put any koach into it, and now I wake up one day, you know what? I'm going to make this happen. I could turn it around, and I could finish strong, even if I went ahead and I started weak. So sometimes in life, a strong start gets you to the finish line. That's hakol holich achar haschala. Sometimes, even if you start weak, you could salvage this in the middle and end off strong. This is the machlokes, says the Chasam Sofer. This is the meaning of Asara b'teves. Asara b'teves was the beginning. It was the beginning. It was the beginning of what? What was the beginning of? The destruction of the Beis Hamikdash Galus. When the Jews were in Yerushalayim and they were surrounded by Nebuchadnezzar, what were their options? Fight. Good. They could physically fight. What else could they do? Daven. To redouble their efforts. You see, the tragedy of Asara b'teves was that we saw there was trouble and we didn't do anything to turn it around. Yerushalayim was besieged. Nebuchadnezzar is at our doorsteps. Nothing happened yet. The walls were intact. In fact, there were enough supplies in Yerushalayim for them to ride out the siege for a long time. They were okay. There was trouble at their doorstep. So the question is in life, what do you do when there's trouble at your doorstep? I mean, just think as a person, as an individual. You could choose to ignore it, which is what our ancestors did in Yerushalayim. They ignored the problems that were at their doorstep. And as a result, what happened? Shivasar B'Tammuz. And what happened after Shivasar B'Tammuz? After Shivasar B'Tammuz? Tisha B'Av. See, the Chasam Sofer says, Hakol holich achar haschal. That's the message of Asara b'teves. When you're at the beginning of something, if there's something going wrong, you can nip it in the bud. And you could change the trajectory, you could change the course of things. The fast day of Asara b'teves is the tragedy when people don't take action to change the course of their destiny. I see that there's a problem. I see that there's a challenge. And here's the great part. Who has the power to fix it? Who has the power to fix it? I have the power to fix it. I have the power to fix almost any single issue that's in my life. I can't fix anyone else's problems, but I can fix a lot of the things. I can't necessarily remove the problems in my life, but I can manage the problems in my life. And when trouble presents itself, the goal is step in right there, and engage in course-correcting activity. We fast on Asara b'teves because thousands of years ago, our ancestors saw problems at their doorstep. And what did they do about it? Absolutely nothing. And when you do nothing about your problems, I'm using the word problems in a generic term, whether we have individual problems, communal problems, Klal Yisrael problems, worldly problems, when you do nothing about your problems, what happens to your problems? What happens? They only get worse. We like to think that ignoring things makes them go away, but the truth is it only allows them to intensify. That's Asara b'teves. Asara b'teves tells us Hakol holech achar haschala. The Beis Hamikdash didn't have to be destroyed. The walls didn't have to be breached. It just required us to take action, literally again on Asara b'teves itself, and begin to turn this around. I both say, what's the goal of a fast day? What's the goal of a fast day?
Make you remember.
So make you remember a historical event. Good. Definitely true. What else? I'm sorry? Beautiful. Remove you from the physical. Maybe make us more spiritual beings. Good. Excellent. What else? It's simple. The Rambam says that the point of a fast day is for a person to introspect. Just think about life. That's really the entire point of a fast day. Just think. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking to yourself, I could think about life so much better if I had a cup of coffee. All right? Just one cup of coffee, a little breakfast, and boy, I'd be thinking about life the entire day. Okay? So sometimes you have to remove yourself, like Uzi said, from the physical to think about life. So what are we supposed to think about today? What we're supposed to think about today is two things. Number one, perhaps there are those of us here who are starting something new. And if we're starting something new, whatever it is, like I said, academics, athletics, spirituality, if you want to be successful, give it 100% on the front end. Because akol holech achar haschol, everything is determined by how you start. And maybe I'm not starting anything new, but I'm in the process of other things that I've started in life. Maybe those things aren't going as well as I would like them to. So remember, hakol holech achar hasof. You can play it both ways. And at the end of the day, if I'm in a process and it's not going so well, I could turn it around at any point in time. But the worst thing I could do is ignore the challenges I face that are sitting right at my doorstep. Because Asara b'teves reminds us, if I ignore my challenges, they only get worse. But if I'm starting something new and I put in maximum effort, I'll be successful. If I started something I haven't put in maximum effort, I could get the reins of this, turn it around, and finish strong. But again, Asara b'teves reminds us, if there are problems sitting at my doorstep, don't ignore them. Acknowledge them, try to deal with them, try to find resolution. Because the things in life we don't deal with only become worse. So we should be Zoch HaMeretz Hashem over the course of this day to find a little bit of time. You're getting out early in Meretz Hashem, plenty of time for introspection, right? The whole afternoon of it, and it's a short fast day. But really, in all seriousness, I would suggest the following. Set aside 5 minutes today where you're going to sit alone by yourself. Maybe it's at home. Afterwards, sit alone by yourself for 5 minutes. And just think about what are the things in my life that are like the siege of Yerushalayim? What are the challenges that I'm going through? And what could I do to address them now before they become something bigger? And then that's Chosem Meretz Hashem of us internalizing the message of Asara b'teves. We should be privileged that we shouldn't have to fast on days like this anymore. The Halavai, we should be Zoch HaMeretz Hashem to open up the YMC branch in Yerushalayim, Ir HaKodesh Meretz Hashem, with the Melech HaMashiach, with the third Beis HaMikdash, here Rabbi Yameinu. Amen.